r/askreddit, redditors who have served in submarines. What is something not many people know about being inside one? If you are in charge of the kitchen, never ever run out of coffee. You will be demoted. If there is the slightest chance of the mission time running long, plan for it. I have a friend who was in the surface navy, and he said the running out of coffee was an emergency of the same urgency as running out of ammunition. You could be brushing your teeth in a morning, while someone was 2 feet behind you taking a dump. I miss those days. You're obviously not married. A nuclear engineer friend who served 5 years once told me he never will eat coleslaw again. I asked why. He said to imagine 300 or so sailors all sick with food poisoning because of bad coleslaw at the same time in a sub. Enough said. Now imagine 5,000 on a carrier. It happened at least 3 times during the 5 years I was in. Everyone called it the double dragon because you'd have severe diarrhea and vomiting at the same time. I didn't serve, but I tuned the turbine generators on Virginia class subs for the contractor who built them. The color was surprising to me. Seafoam green. Everywhere. I guess they did a study to figure out which color was least likely to drive people insane when confined for months in a steel can. Kinda made me wonder what would happen in a bright orange sub. For longer deployments, space is extra tight because of all the provisions you have to take. So, they will stack cans of food in berthing areas and put rubber mats over them. You're walking on cans for weeks at a time. Also, sometimes a sailor will have to hot rack, one rack, that is, bed or bunk, for 2 sailors. When you're working 12-hour shifts, you can get away with it. I did 2 submarine deployments, where I had to hot rack. Both times we would make it work by one of us using a sleeping bag and the other one sleeping under the sheets, so we weren't smelling each other's sweat. Good times. My experience with hot racks was 3 sailors for every 2 bunks. 3 guys on rotating 6-hour shifts, 6 on watch, 6 for maintenance, and 6 for sleep. The way it rotates, you don't end up in the same rack twice in a row, and the bed is often warm from the guy who just left it. The lack of sunlight makes even small cuts and scrapes take forever to heal. I remember trying to slide while playing softball and getting some road rash on my arm right before we went out for a few weeks. What was originally just some missing skin turned into a nasty thick scab that just wouldn't go away. I think it's the lack of vitamin D your body produces from sunlight. After months on patrol, your eyes don't focus so well on distant objects after not needing to focus on much beyond 20 feet for a while after patrol. PFF big deal. Submarines got the same effect from spending the whole summer in front of my computer. An 8-yo can roll off the top of a triple bunk in his sleep and be okay, because that's only a 4-foot drop. My dad served on the NR-1 in the 90s, super tiny nuclear sub. He said that, before they'd deploy they'd go on grocery runs and load up with packs of purple Kool-Aid powder and Doritos and ice cream bars for days. Then they were so bored they'd have competitions to see who could drink enough purple Kool-Aid to turn their poop green first. I also heard stories of having to dig a cherry out of a very hairy guy's belly button. Clearly they were busy. Didn't serve, but have worked on them. If you're on board as a guest while underway and they run out of beds, they throw mattresses on the torpedo racks for you to sleep on. Also, every torpedo tube has a woman's name. Served on a Virginia class. The best way I can describe the smell is that of a dirty McDonald's. It's due to the CO2 absorbent. We all go nose blind to it in a few days, but the smell gets into all our clothes real bad. The airflow is actually really good. There are fans that keep everything circulating. 5-minute showers are a thing. The reason is creating potable water is a slow, somewhat noisy process. The other reason is discharging dirty water is also a noisy event. Our only communication with the outside world is through email. There is no internet access. The ship periodically downloads everything then distributes it. Upsetting emails are withheld until the boat comes into port, so the sailor can continue to function until it is possible to get a flight home. When the boat is on mission where stealth is mandatory, there might not be any communication at all for over a month. On a Virginia class submarine, a 5-minute shower is turn water on to get wet, turn water off, lather up with soap, turn water on, rinse soap off, turn water off, then squeegee all 4 walls. No one was ever in a rush when the water was off or squeegeeing the walls. Yes, radio screened our emails. I served on a sturgeon class in the early to mid 90s. The food is good at the beginning of a deployment. By the middle, it has descended to 5-year-old cans of 3-bean salad. It is relatively unmilitaristic. We took our jobs seriously, but they had to remind us not to refer to the officers by their first names. Russian submarine captains have Scottish accents. Fact. Someone mentioned valuables, and the only time I saw someone get beaten violently was when a guy got caught stealing out of someone's rack. You have no personal space on a sub, so all of your stuff is in a pan below your bed. If you are dumb enough to steal on a sub, prepare to get the beating of a lifetime. It was reported to the captain as him falling down the stairs. The captain didn't ask questions.